The Mojave Desert dawn bursts over a barren horizon, announcing another day that will reach 107 degrees within 4 hours. On the 1,000 square mile Fort Erwin National Training Center, troops get the ultimate test of strength and endurance short of war. The blazing sun makes equipment burning hot to touch, and if you want shade from the searing heat, you make it.
Other than getting hit with live bullets, this is almost like being at war. Those kids will go to the field for 11 days, and I doubt very seriously if they even get to sleep 2 or 3 hours a night, because they're going to be under constant pressure because the enemy is out there lurking.
Out there in the folds of a boulder-strewn wasteland are 2,500 desert-hardened Army troops ready to throw every trick attack they know at these Guardsmen and women. The exercise uses no live ammunition, but soldiers' rifles and tanks are equipped with lasers. If a laser beam hits one of these black button sensors, the hit is broadcast to computers that record every shot fired, every kill made in this big stakes version of laser tag. 2,000 miles away from the desert heat, Rutherford County Physician's Assistant Paul Granzo examines a patient in a Forest City clinic. 3 weeks ago, few of his patients know he's the leader of a combat medical support team in the National Guard that would spend 2 weeks in the desert.
We're going to have to adapt to the harshest environment on Earth, which is the Mojave Desert. We're going to have to go there as a unit, learn to function as a unit, and more importantly, learn to do the most important or the most dangerous job on Earth, which is to fight a war.
The medical support team of the National Guard rarely sees these exercises as war games. All too often, the casualties they see are real ones.
How long have you been a smoker?
At the Fort Erwin Field Hospital, First Lieutenant Paul Granzo examines a soldier suffering severe heat exhaustion. He says his work with the Guard allows him to serve his country and the people of Forest City.
I think it's a good payback. Certainly I see a lot of cases out here. I get to interact with other medical professionals, and experience is the name of the game, of course. The more you can see, the more you can do, the more good ideas you can get, you can take it back and use them at home.
Next week, the war games begin. Commanders say as the government cuts the size of the regular Army, the training becomes more intense. The heat is on for the National Guard soldiers to share the front line of our country's defense. Cheryl Barber, News 13 WLOS. In the blazing heat of the Mojave Desert, where temperatures on this day reach 107 degrees, just touching the metal of these 20-ton Bradley tanks is enough to scorch fingers. Inside this steel box with the engine running, temperatures can soar to 120 degrees.
Got my 2-quart canteen right here. Supposed to drink about 5 of these a day.
Specialist Joseph Perez and Elton Brown will spend most of the day here as gunnery experts fine-tune the tank's weapons to fire lasers during the war games. Brown and Perez says the heat makes life tough, but the skills they learn are worth the pain.
To survive in the heat, the desert, stay alive.
Being able to come out here in California is definitely a change because I've never been out of the state of South Carolina myself. So being out here is definitely an adventure.
National Guard commanders say it's that sense of adventure, of service to the community, that's wearing thin among a generation of young people often unwilling to commit the time it takes to serve in the Guard. These soldiers now at Fort Erwin had to leave their jobs for about 3 weeks, and increasingly the Army uses National Guard troops for months at a time for police operations, such as the conflict in Bosnia, and for major wartime support, such as Desert Storm.
Quite frankly, the Guard is getting tired of having to step forward and follow up with the active Army the way we're having to do now because of just the tremendous downsizing that's occurring with the active Army.
South Carolina National Guard's top general says his troops are getting older. Younger recruits are unwilling to gamble on the increasing number of assignments overseas and the threat that they could lose their jobs at home if they join the Guard.
Maybe they could give the employers an incentive that if they hire a Guards member, then they could take it as a tax credit.
Some employers support time off for National Guard soldiers because of the training the troops receive. That often advances the careers of soldiers once they return to the civilian world. That's why the Guard sent corporate managers to the desert last week to witness Guard members from their districts and companies in action. Some business managers told us the workers' Guard duty away from the job often makes a better employee.
We really are very pleased with the individuals that participate and the level of training that they get here in a lot of ways spills over into their civilian work.
The hospital has been 100% behind me on this.
Rutherford County Physician's Assistant Paul Granzo will spend a month away from his clinic in Forest City to head up the Guard's medical aid station in the desert. He credits the Guard with paying for most of his education and Rutherford Hospital for the time to gain military on-the-job experience.
They've coordinated every time I've had to leave and go with the Guard on hurricane missions or on training missions. So I couldn't ask for a better employer than Rutherford County.
Most of these soldiers have companies supporting time off here in the desert, but without more of that support and younger recruits, commanders predict a critical force in the nation's defense will begin to dry up. Cheryl Barber, News 13 WLOS.